Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
After heavy rain late in the afternoon, things are dry, and believe it or not, we're starting on time at Great American Ballpark. Game 3 of this 4-game series. Reds taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks on Jay Bruce bobblehead here tonight. And a big crowd, a late arriving crowd, albeit. And I again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. And getting to start tonight, he might not be the best pitcher so far this year. That would undoubtedly be Johnny Cueto, but he's the hottest pitcher right now in Matt Latos.
Well, he is just rolling right along. Matt Latos says he had a great West Coast swing, and he came into last week's start. That was against the Cardinals, and he threw the ball pretty well. I mean, he only went 5 innings overall, but he gave up 2 runs. He kept the team in the ball game in a very important ball game against the St. Louis Cardinals. And for a guy that has had the reputation of sometimes being short fused, sometimes being able to be distracted from time to time, this guy was locked in last time. He had a couple of situations in that ball game where it could have gone the other way for him, but he locked it down and did a really good job. And you can see what he has done against the National League West. Remember the Arizona Diamondbacks? They're part of the West. Well, Latos simply dominates when he plays against a West team, and maybe that'll be the same story tonight for Matt.
Last season, meanwhile, for Arizona starter here tonight, it was a storybook year. There's no denying that for the former Yankee prospect, Ian Kennedy. And so far this year, a lot of people felt like he's throwing the ball pretty well, but just not the same luck.
Well, here's a guy that has had, 5 or 6 balks. He's had 5 or 6 wild pitches. He's not nearly the control pitcher that he was last year. His earned run average is way up. And the number of home runs, although they're down overall, you see so far in the season, they're up pro rata. So he's a guy that they say has lost low velocity. You just wonder if maybe the number of innings that they put on his arm last year is beginning to take the toll this year. So maybe the Reds are getting Ian Kennedy at just the right time. Even though he's pitched well against him in the past, he's a guy that is certainly hittable this year.
All right, it's a good pitching matchup. This is the best pitching match so far we've had in this series so far. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a guy swinging a hot bat for the Reds. And, of course, that's left fielder Ryan Ludwig. Stay tuned for that and more on Fox Sports Ohio.
of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, we had a lot of rain, and I mean a lot of rain, as many of you are well aware, in the tri-state area about a little more than an hour and a half ago. Things beginning to calm down. What about the rest of the night? Our weather report brought to you by Thompson Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drain Cleaning. Here's Michelle Boudelet.
You'll be dodging a few showers and thunderstorms at the game this evening. Still hot, still humid. 88 degrees by the beginning of the game. By the end of the game, falling into the lower 80s. Still hot and humid. Enjoy the game. I'm Local 12 meteorologist Michelle Boudelet for Fox Sports Ohio.
The guy who's like the weather right now is Ryan Ludwig. Red hot and raining on the parade of the opposition.
Not only that, winning ball games with dramatic home runs like he did against the St. Louis Cardinals. Had a line drive on a Saturday. Also hit a big 3-run bomb last night after he got low bridged by Trevor Bauer. He was the hero last night. He continues to swing a hot bat. And he's a guy, obviously, that the Reds are going to have to lean on a little bit more now that Joey Votto is going to miss probably 3 weeks to a month. But look at the climbing batting average each and every month for Ryan Ludwig. In the month of July, nearly 300. He's already hit 3 home runs. Let's hope he's able to keep that pace up.
Reds trying to tame those snakes from Arizona. First pitch coming up next. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Cincinnati USA, let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Game time is Skyline time. We had it tonight. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili. Jay Bruce bobblehead night, big crowd. Many of them, I'm sure, early on scared off by the terrible weather we had. Reported hailstorms, power out, a number of areas around the greater Cincinnati region. And we hope all of you are A-OK. Kirk Gibson's Arizona Diamondbacks starting lineup tonight. Stephen Drew, Aaron Hill, Jason Kubel playing for the first time in this series. Injured his hamstring over the weekend in Chicago. Miguel Montero, Justin Upton, Paul Goldschmidt in the middle. Gerardo Parra, Ryan Roberts, his first start of the series. And Ian Kennedy on the mound. Matt Latos 7 up, 2 down.
Matt Latos, you know, when he was first acquired by the Reds, a number of people called me and said, hey, there's 2 things you really ought to know about Matt Latos. Number 1 is he have rough months of April. So don't make a judgment after the month of April how he's going to be. And sure enough, he had a rough month of April. The other thing is that when he gets on a roll, look out, especially against the National League West. And he's been on a roll lately. There is no doubt about that. You go back to the complete game that he threw against the Milwaukee Brewers here, and then at San Francisco, 9 innings of 2-hit baseball. Last time in San Diego, 7 innings of shutout baseball, and that 5-inning stint his last time out, the first game of the series again, or the Saturday series against the St. Louis Cardinals. So the big guy, 6 feet 6 inches tall, on some kind of a roll. You see what his starts and numbers are here at Great American Ballpark. Man, oh man, you wouldn't think that a fly ball pitcher like Latos would like it here, but in 12 starts, he's won 6 ball games. You'll take that anytime.
Latos has not suffered a loss since his 3rd start of the season, all the way back on the 18th of April. In his 15 starts since then, a 7-0 record, ERA of under 3.5. And the Reds have won 11 of his last 14 starts. So here we go. Stephen Drew to lead it off, and it's in there, strike 1. We're underway. Drew 2 of 8 in the series. Arizona scored 4 runs, getting 5 straight hits in the first inning off Bronson Arroyo in the opening game of the series. Drew lifts a fly ball down the left field line. It's very wet out there tonight, and that is foul, 0-2. But I got to tell you, this grounds crew under Doug Gallant, these guys just do an absolutely marvelous job, and a tip of the cap, if not more than one, go out to those guys. They have been busting their tail all day today. Horrible weather, and just by looking at this field, you'd never know it. A job well done, as always.
I'll tell you, at 5:30 this afternoon, the field was underwater, period. That's how well the field drains, and it's also how hard those guys work.
It's not taking anything away from the guys we saw it on the West Coast. Well, I forget when we were in San Diego, Chris, you know, the young man Luke Yoder, who is from Cincinnati, grew up in West Liberty. He is the head grounds crew keeper at Petco Park in San Diego. Not taking anything away from him or guys in Arizona or anywhere else, but their weather is perfect. Here you're dealing with everything. Drew only 2 weeks into his 2012 season after breaking his ankle in July of last year. It's taken him a long time to get back in that Diamondbacks lineup. 2-2 on the way, and hooked at Brandon Phillips, and this will be the first out of the night. Reds defensively presented by your Ford dealers. Ludwig, Stubbs, Jay Bruce back in there tonight. Infield we've seen in each of the first 2 games of this series, and the battery of Latos and his buddy Ryan Hannigan.
Well, it'll be a lot better night to pitch than it was last night, although Johnny Cueto make it look awfully easy last night. Ryan Hannigan probably lost himself a good 15 pounds of water weight last night. Game time temperature, I think, was about 96. Game time temperature now somewhere around 74. We're liking it a lot.
And about 4:30 this afternoon, it was hotter than it was yesterday. And then all of a sudden, when those storms came in and the rain came in, big wind came in, and things have cooled off rapidly. Breaking ball in there, a strike to even things on second baseman Aaron Hill, having a real good year. The Diamondbacks felt like he should have been a National League All-Star, and those numbers would certainly give you reason to feel that way. Vic Carapazza calling the balls and strikes. Larry Vanover at first base. Dan Bellino at second. The crew chief Jerry Lane, the umpire, at third.
like that little edge that you can kind of, I don't know, feel or smell from Latos tonight. See the way he's getting the ball back from Hannigan, how his body language, how he's standing up. Guy feels like he's on fire. I mean, meaning that he's in a nice groove pitching. You know, when you feel like that as a pitcher, you feel big out there. You're already standing on the biggest part of the field. You know, the king of the field and all that kind of stuff. But when you're 6'6", it makes you really feel like you're the big guy on the field. And that looks like, to me, that's the way he's begun to feel here his last few starts. Last 15 starts, 7-0. He's had some runs with which to work. But still, he's made those runs hold up.
Of course, the last 2 times that Latos has been on the mound, he has virtually gotten 0 run support. 7 shutout innings in San Diego. Reds only got him, what, 1 run? Bullpen ended up giving up that game. And then his last time out against St. Louis, he didn't get any help behind him. That was the first game after the All-Star break. Latos gave up 2. The Reds did not score until his final inning. They got a solo home run by Todd Frazier. Straight away center field and deep. Stubbs drifting back to the wall, and we'll watch it go. Jason Kubel is first at bat since he injured his hamstring over the weekend in Chicago. A 2-run home run here in the first inning.
Now, the Diamondbacks obviously missed him. They left a lot of runners on base last night, had plenty of opportunities, but did not have this guy in the middle of their batting order. A very tough left-hander against the right-hander. You see Latos, as soon as he throws that ball, drops his head, he knows in this ballpark it's got a chance. In fact, better than that, beyond the reach of Drew Stubbs. He might be thinking to himself, you know, in San Diego, that ball didn't even get to the warning track.
Slider in there, strike to Miguel Montero. Saw Hannigan setting up for that fastball. He wanted it away from Kubel. It wound up right down and in his wheelhouse, and Kubel can hit. 0-2 on Montero. The Diamondbacks came into this series having scored 3 runs in 3 games over the weekend in Chicago. They got 4 runs in their very first at bat in the opening inning against Bronson Arroyo. And with that home run, they have scored in a total of 6 innings on this trip. A trip which they've gone 1-4 on thus far. 2 more to go tonight and tomorrow. Frazier on the short hop. 2 out. You know, you look at Jason Kubel's numbers, and obviously you tack on that 2-run home run, and you're talking about 16 home runs and now 62 runs batted in. Chris, I think you and I both, and we've talked about this, I mean, everybody is for selling the game of baseball, marketing the game of baseball. Huge record attendance numbers continue year after year after year in this game. But I got to tell you, you know, the more and more when you look at the numbers that Kubel has put up, and you're talking about a guy who's not going to the All-Star game every year. But for Bryce Parker to be chosen, Bryce Harper to be chosen for the All-Star game, and I don't mean to single him out, but he is the only outfielder where you looked at his numbers and you thought, man, and you compare him to Kubel. That's got to be a big disappointment for Kubel. This guy's having a heck of a year.
I agree with you.
Out here in the bottom of the inning, trailing 2-0 in Dusty Baker's starting lineup. As Stubbs, Cozart, Phillips at the top. Bruce in a cleanup spot. Ludwig in left. Scott Rowland at third. A latter third of Todd Frazier, Ryan Hannigan, and Matt Latos. 27-year-old native Californian, former #1 pick by the Yankees. Came over to the Diamondbacks 2 years ago. Won 21 last year. Ian Kennedy.
Well, he won 21, only lost 4 last year. He came in 4th in the Cy Young Award. I mean, this guy was the real deal last year, and one of the reasons why the Diamondbacks had such a tremendous season. 90-plus wins for the ball club and 21 wins for him. This year, it's been a little bit of a setback. Some people speculate maybe it was all the innings that he pitched last year that he's just not used to it, and it caught up to him this year.
Falling behind 2-0 on Drew Stubbs. 218 batter, 9 home runs, 23 runs batted in. Has had a nice series. 3 of 6, and he's also walked a couple of times. Before the first pitch was ever thrown in this game tonight, the Reds well aware the Pirates have won again earlier today. A wild one out in Denver. Pirates 9, Rockies 6. Reds went into play early today with a 1-game lead. This one driven into left center field will go to the wall. And Stubbs is going to slam on the brakes after a hard turn with a leadoff double.
Drew Stubbs back in the leadoff spot, and maybe he's going to be able to get the rhythm down a little bit. Nice swing right there, and that puts him safe at second, safe and secure.
New York line.
On base twice last night was Drew out of the leadoff spot. 3 times the night before against left-hander Wade Miley.
Cozart at 243, 9 home runs, 19 batted in, does have 21 doubles, and bunts it straight back to the pitcher. And that did not look like he was bunting for a sacrifice. He was trying to bunt for a hit.
Yeah, but even when you bunt for a base hit, I think the key, and the good base bunters have always told me, and I remember Barry Larkin being one of them, would tell me that the most important thing you do is you stay in the batter's box first. You don't run until that ball is down, because a good bunt is worth 2 steps on your way to first base. Looks like he was kind of moving just a little bit, drifting across the plate as he was trying to lay that baby down, and just got under it.
Brandon Phillips in a 3-hole again tonight. 288 batter, 10 home runs, and even 50 knocked in. He had a pitch to hit right there, fouled it back.
Hey, Kennedy's coming right after him. I mean, his velocity's never been overpowering. He's always been anywhere from 89 to 92. He's got a nice curve ball, good changeup. But he has given the Reds a few pitches up in the zone, and good ones a hit. That's only out of the first 3 hitters.
What a play down at third, at least to knock it down. That'll be an infield hit, but for the time being, putting a glove on it by Ryan Roberts has saved a run.
But they were playing very deep in the Diamondbacks infield right here, and it gave Roberts a chance to get over there. Nonetheless, he's got to lay out for that one to block it. And that ball goes into the outfield. Definite run in, definite double for Brandon Phillips.
Of course, now with Joey Votto out for the next month, there's going to be so much focus on every single player in this Reds lineup as guys try and find a way to make up so much ground that has been lost. And Jay Bruce is going to be one of the major focal points of this offense. And that is a horrific at bat right there on a pop up, and there are 2 outs in the inning. Bruce has had his struggles in a major way all year, hitting .205 with runners in scoring position. Now Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig, another guy like Jay Bruce, who's right around the 200 mark, hitting with runners in scoring position. Both of them obviously have some big home runs. The home run totals and the RBI totals. That's a bleeder that'll end the inning. Reds have a runner at third with one out and cannot score with Bruce and Ludwig batting. Joey Votto was down at the ballpark earlier today, already beginning his rehab. We'll hear some comments from him earlier today when we come back.
We are going through a stretch, no disrespect to the opponents, but those are all division-leading teams that we just played, and now these are, there's several less than 500 teams. So if there ever was a time for me to take some time off, I don't know how we'll shape up going forward, but I certainly think we have the team to hopefully get some distance from the Pittsburghs and St. Louis's of our division.
Great to hear from Joey Votto. Great to see him. One of our game storylines brought to you by Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. 2-0 ball game as the Diamondbacks bat against Matt Latos after the Reds missed a scoring chance in the bottom of the first inning. Goldschmidt, Parra, and Roberts due up. In the air, left center field, and over to get it, Ludwig. One pitch and one out. Joey Votto wanted everybody to make sure they knew that he's working to get back as soon as he can. He misses playing and really misses winning. Well, without Votto in the lineup, it began in this series he wasn't going to play anyway. That was a game plan all along after the Cardinals series, but of course it became far more severe than that. The news that he needed meniscus surgery on his injured left knee. Reds lost that first game here against Arizona Monday before coming back to get the win behind Johnny Cueto last night. One and two on Parra. getting the start in place of Chris Young in center field here tonight. Young starting each of the first 2 games. Arizona begins play 4 games under the 500 mark. 43 up, 47 down. There's strike 3 swinging on Parra. The Diamondbacks had swept the Dodgers in Arizona the final 3 games leading up to the All-Star break. And at the break, they were only 4 games behind. But obviously, they have won once in their first 5 games post All-Star break, coinciding with the red-hot San Francisco Giants, who now lead the Diamondbacks in the division by 7. But with that added wild card this year, Chris, there are a number of teams, more so in the National League than the American League. There are a number of teams that are under 500 that still feel like they have a fighting chance for that second wild card spot.
I would imagine there are far more meetings between owner and general manager this time of year to discuss the immediate future on those teams than ever before. Because obviously it takes the cooperation of both those guys. The owners have to buy in, saying, yeah, this is a year we think we can make it. Maybe the general manager wants to make that case. Do you have some more money for me to spend? Can I take on a new salary? Can I trade some of the better players in the farm system away, maybe to rent a player or 2 to get us over the hump? It's a tough decision, and every ball club has a different set of circumstances.
Okay, that American League wild card race for the second spot right now, you have Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Boston, Detroit, Cleveland, Oakland. 6 teams all within a game and a half of the second wild card spot in the American League. Anaheim right now would be the first wild card. National League, Atlanta has opened up a decent lead on the number 2 spot in the wild card behind the Pirates. 2-2 on Ryan Roberts. Soft short hop picked up by Brandon, and a 1-2-3 second for Matt Latos. Rowland, Frazier, Hannigan due up. D-backs in front by a pair. Day after tomorrow, right here at Great American Ballpark, Reds and the Brewers. Right after the game, we'll have our fireworks show, and this week featuring a country soundtrack thanks to Cooper Tires. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. Tickets available as well as tomorrow. 381 REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or visit Reds.com. Two-run home run by Jason Kubel in Arizona's first at bat. The only runs thus far were in the last of the second inning, and Ian Kennedy delivers a strike to Scott Rowland. Rowland has at least one hit in each of his 4 starts to begin the second half of the year. In fact, 6 hits and 14 at bats, with a couple of runs batted in after missing 7 of the final 8 games leading up to the All-Star break with a bad back. Two and two to Rowland. Frazier next and Ryan Hannigan. That ball stung by Rowland. Will back up Parra, and he's able to track it down just in front of the warning track. Arizona defensively presented by your Ford dealers. Talked about Parra replacing Young tonight with Kubel back in the lineup, healthy again. Roberts his first start of the series, and a battery of Kennedy and Miguel Montero.
That's a very good defensive team overall. Maybe not as good in the infield as the Reds are, but certainly in the outfield. You've got the assist leader right there in Jason Kubel. Parra has about 6 assists because these guys are in outfield that certainly they can go get the baseball, as Gerardo Parra just showed, and they can throw you out if you're trying for an extra base.
Hopper drew in the outfield grass, lost his footing, and it cost him. Well, you always wonder about the field conditions. Whenever you have as much rain as we had, it had to be 2 or 3 inches of rain we had before the ball game tonight.
Well, he really plays a deep shortstop, I'll tell you. I mean, he starts off right at the grass right there, and you got to figure that he may feel, you know, even when he's out there taking grounders between innings, sometimes infielders will go around, they'll check the dirt, how does it feel, they'll kick out some lumps and so on. I'm surprised he didn't go out in that grass and realize, you know what, that's where they dump all the water from the tarp. And I think he'll probably shorten up and try to stay on the dirt the rest of the game. Now he's obviously an infield or a double play depth, so he'll be inside anyway.
And has scored a base hit for Todd Frazier.
He could use that after the night he had last night.
Yep, struck out 4 times. And here's Ryan Hannigan batting in the 8-hole in front of Latos. Not off out of play to fall behind 0-2. Talked about the Pirates and their win earlier today out in Denver, 9-6. The Milwaukee Brewers beat the Cardinals. Final count of 4-3. Francisco Rodriguez taking over as their closer. Struggled, and I mean struggled big time in the 9th inning, walking 3 batters, including walking in a run with the bases loaded. But got Lance Berkman on a fly ball to left field to end the game. So the Brewers, to begin the second half, have beaten the Pirates 2 out of 3. And they have won 2 of 3 against St. Louis. Milwaukee only 2.5 games behind the Redbirds in the Central.
Well, they did that against the Cardinals without the services of their ace pitcher, Zach Greinke, who was held out. You know, Greinke started 3 consecutive Brewer games, 2 right before the All-Star break. One he only threw, 4 or 5 pitches in, was ejected from that game. They brought him back the next day, had the All-Star break, and then started the first game back, and evidently didn't feel right after that start. Had a bad blow-up at home, very unusual for Greinke, so they decided to hold him out of the entire series for the Cardinals.
That one banged into left center field by Hannigan.
And there is some speculation that Greinke may miss a start against the Reds.
In fact, he will not pitch against the Reds.
No, he's not in the list, is he?
Well, they're going to hold him out through the rest of this week and through the entire weekend.
Which will really cool down, I would imagine, some of the interest in Zach Greinke for a trade. There was a lot of speculation about him being available. He's a free agent after this year. What would a team give to the Milwaukee Brewers if the Brewers thought that they were out of it and wanted to become sellers? He might be the #1 guy along with Ryan Dempster. Pitchers in the National League anyway available to a team looking for some starting pitching.
Latos already shortens up on the bat and bunts it to the third base side. Kennedy will go to third. And I tell you, the beat goes on for this Reds team in terms of being able to put down a bunt. They've tried 2 of them tonight, and both of them have failed. And outside of Johnny Cueto, it is a team that has failed miserably in trying to execute this play.
You know, we had this same situation last night, and I made the comment that had Johnny Cueto come up throwing to third, he probably would have been able to get the runner on a force. Now, the situation's slightly different because Cueto at that time had a 4-0 lead. And a 0-0 ball game, you're going to take a chance more like Ian Kennedy did. But that's a tough play for a base runner like Frazier. You've got to get that bunt down the third baseline and get it hard enough that the pitcher cannot get to it. That's the only way you guarantee that is going to be a successful sacrifice.
Well, now we need what you referred to as a mind eraser. In other words, make you forget all about the fact that you didn't execute a successful sacrifice, and that would entail Stubbs knocking in 2 or maybe 3 runs with 1 crack of the bat right now.
Now, they pitched him inside first time, and he had a nice little inside swing and drove that ball to left center field. That time he chased a slider, and you wonder now, will the strategy on how to pitch Drew Stubbs change based on what he did the first time up?
One and 2 on Stubbs. He was at third with 1 out in the first inning. Reds couldn't push that run across. And now hoping Stubbs can find a way to get in Hannigan from out at second. Reds also have Latos at first. 2 are out. There's a base hit into right field, and this will easily bring in Hannigan. And Latos making a turn on his way to third. That ball nearly checked up in the outfield grass, but it's plenty good enough, and it's a 2-1 game.
What a nice in-at-bat adjustment for Drew Stubbs. He looked real bad on the first slider that he had a swing at. Then he fouled the ball off, and then he gets an off-speed pitch. Looks like a changeup. Not sure why Kennedy would throw him something that would run in on him like that. And he looks like he got it right on the end of the bat. And he spins it into right field. Ryan Hannigan running with 2 outs. Latos, big long legs going all the way to third. A couple of knocks already for Stubbs.
And now Cozart, he tried to bunt his way on his first time up and popped up to the pitcher. And you wonder, will Stubbs early in this at bat try to get himself in scoring position? 18 of 22 in stolen base tries. Well, you pointed it out, Chris. There have been so many pitches already in this game that Kennedy has left right down the heart of the plate. Now, you got to hope that continues, because sometimes it'll happen early and then they get stingy.
Well, he's a guy that can pitch up and pitch pretty effectively up. And you know that just by the way that you look at the numbers. He's not a very much of a ground ball pitcher at all. And in fact, he's the 4th rated fly ball pitcher in all the league. That's not a bad thing. The number 3 guy is Matt Cain. So obviously you can be a very good pitcher and be a fly ball pitcher. but he's got kind of a short arm action. If you watch him get that right arm up, he gets it up behind his right ear very quickly. And he doesn't really throw with a downward plane, and that ball kind of runs in there to a hitter, lefty and righty, and stays up. And he gets lots of pop-ups that way.
Right down the can there, and Kozar looks at it for a strike.
Ian Kennedy, nice fluid motion. He gets that arm up, and he doesn't really have that downward plane. He's trying to sink the ball a lot. He just pretty much comes right at you.
Runners on the corners, 2 out, 1 run home, 1 ball, 2 strikes on Zach Kozar. Paying a lot of attention over there to Stubbs.
I'm not so sure this is really a stolen base situation for Stubbs. Got a runner on third base. Last thing you really want to do is stumble maybe on some wet dirt there and be thrown out and ruin a potential scoring inning.
Kennedy wanted that call, didn't get it.
Did you detect just a little bit of flinch back behind home plate by Vic Carapazza?
2-2 to count on Kozar. Kennedy ready, a long look, and now he'll back off the rubber once more.
Okay, that's the kind of call right there that if you're Zach Kozar, you might be thinking, you know what, this can change the inning around. Kennedy might be thinking, I should be sitting in the dugout right now. And if his mind isn't where it ought to be, he may just hang one right there for Kozar to wallop.
Struck him out, pulling the string, and that'll end the inning. Reds get 3 hits, score a run, and trail by a run. Coming up later tonight, brought to you by Miller Lite, and hopefully it's good news for the Reds. We invite you to come on down to Holy Grail Friday night, day after tomorrow, 6 o'clock. For the Reds fan cam, you might be featured on Reds Live, testing your Reds knowledge and winning some great prizes. It's a lot of fun. Show up Friday night, 6 o'clock at the Holy Grail down on the Banks. Let's take a look at our Farmers Insurance report card on Matt Latos. Last 4 games, how's he been against right-handed batters? Chris, how about those?
Man, oh man, how about an opponent batting average of .089 over that stretch? 20 strikeouts out of the 45 batters that he's faced. And that's like a right-handed Aroldis Chapman right there. But he does it a little differently than Chapman. Yeah, he runs it up there in the mid-90s, Latos does. But his last few starts, the key for him is he's been throwing downhill with that slider and his curveball. He's been able to mix them both up. And if you just watch from the center field camera how his breaking ball essentially goes straight down. You get a big body like Latos, 6 feet 6 inches, and he throws right over the top like that and works it down. That slider's a tough pitch to hit.
Rain lightly falling as we begin the 3rd inning. Arizona 2, the Reds 1. 9-1-2 in the Diamondbacks batting order. Begins with a pitcher, Ian Kennedy. They had a pretty good cut right there. Kennedy only has 1 hit in 24 at-bats.
Well, you might say with that kind of a cut, it must be a hard 0-42.
Maybe not.
Pretty good looking slider right there. Now Latos, you know, look, gone are the days when you challenge the opposing pitcher. Now you're working on tight pitch counts like this. You can't afford to have the opposing pitcher foul off a couple of pitches and go to 5 or 6 pitches in an at bat. If you can get him out in 3, send him on back.
Chris, I've always wondered that about regular position players when they're batting. And the guy who certainly bought into that theory precisely, more than anybody I've ever heard so eloquently talk about it, was Greg Maddux. I mean, Greg Maddux talked all the time about, I'm not out there on the mound to be wasting pitches to anybody. If I get ahead 0-2 or get ahead 1-2, I'm not nibble so I can get to 3-2 and the guy fouled away, you know, a couple of pitches, and the next thing you know, it's a 9-pitch at bat. That ball stung, but right at Bruce off the bat of Drew, and there are 2 outs in the inning.
Well, I think a lot of pitchers bought into it, but you're right. Greg Maddux is one guy that was very eloquent about it. And why make a waste pitch? In the National League this year, the whole league on an 0-2 count is batting 143. Without looking it up, I would probably suggest that that's the lowest batting average on any count there is. So why not try to get it out when you have that count? If the batting average again just constantly goes up when you go to 1-2, then 2-2, and then 3-2.
Well, then why do you think we see it happen so often?
Because I think because there's some kind of a stigma about giving up an 0-2 hit. An 0-2 home run is way worse in the eyes of a lot of people than a 3-2 home run, although it counts just the same. Well, that's the curveball I'm talking about. The curveball will come in there in the 70s, a slider in the 80s. That's how you tell the difference between the two for Latos. But that's just some serious downward break, and where was that?
Well, Latos was on his way to the Reds' first base side dugout. Wow. Of course, Kennedy felt the same way on a 2-strike pitch to Cozart. Struck him out, of course, on the very next pitch.
Vic's got a supervisor in town. Randy Marsh is here. Got to make sure you tighten it up when your boss is around. Vic Carapazzo I'm talking about, the home plate umpire.
1-2 on Hill. Pulled foul. Another fastball in.
You tighten it up when you know your boss is watching?
I have a long way to go, Chris, so I just like to say, or like to think, that I'm just trying to get better. That's all.
I got news for you. He's always watching.
You're right. That's just off the outside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Got him swinging on a slider away. 8 in a row since a Kubel home run set down by Latos. Heart of the order coming up. Reds trail by a run. Win the beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. Why not register for your chance to win it at an upcoming game? Just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Young Redlegs fans fired up here tonight. Reds down a run as Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, Ryan Ludwig back against Ian Kennedy here in the home half of the third inning. Teams splitting the first 2 games of this series. And an afternoon till tomorrow. Again, a reminder, that'll be radio only tomorrow. Plenty of tickets are available. Why not come on down? Reds will have Mike Leake. Of course, he pitched collegiately at Arizona State University. There's a swing and a miss by Brandon, 0-2. Left-hander Joe Saunders having a nice year for the Diamondbacks despite a sub-500 record. At 4 up and 6 down has an earned run average right at 3.5. Slow roller to Hill. Phillips thrown out to begin the third inning. Jay Bruce 0 for 1, fouled out to the third baseman Ryan Roberts in the first inning. Bruce, a .245 batter, does have 18 home runs, a team best, and a team high 57 runs batted in. A ball and a strike. Pop up to the infield, this time the right side. 2 out. We talked about a possibility of another player move being made by the Reds. Todd Redmond up for 1 day, then option back to AAA. And outfielder Xavier Paul brought up from AAA Louisville, where he's having a very fine season this year in the minor leagues.
Well, he's a left-handed hitter, and that's the one thing the Reds are looking for. They've tried several already this year. Willie Harris has been up and down a couple of times. Mike Costanza came up earlier in the year. And that will be Xavier Paul's chance to come up and contribute.
Of course, the Reds, knock on wood, you hate to even bring it up. They've been extremely blessed on the injury front so far this season. Now, of course, with Joey Votto going down, it's not always how many are getting hurt. Far more importantly is who's the one getting hurt and who's not.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, you can manage around one guy sometimes. I mean, after all, it's a team sport. But to have 29 players total on your roster so far this year, that's incredible. I mean, maybe the number is now with 30 with Xavier Paul at it. But, I mean, still, that's, I mean, you've got a 25-man roster. And usually by this time, you've got 33, 34, 35 players. Just look up and down the stat sheet on some of the other teams. Brian Ludwig's thinking, do I have a bullseye on me or what? Trevor Bauer nearly knocked him for a loop yesterday. In fact, he got low bridged by Bauer on a fastball. Then Bauer comes back with a changeup, and Ludwig knocked it about 20 rows deep. Of course, that last pitch that low bridged Brian Ludwig in this at bat was a breaking ball. So no harm, or at least no bad intent there.
3-2 now on Ludwig. Fouled away. That one's into deep left center field. It'll find the gap. It bounces up and over the wall. The ground rule double for Ryan Ludwig with 2 outs here in the third.
Well, Ryan is locked in. I mean, you give him a pitch in his zone, and he's not fouling it back. I mean, he's putting the square part of the bat right on it, or at least the hot part of the bat right on it. Our Performance Honda, good look at that slow motion swing, and one hop right on out of here. That pitch really very much in the same location that home run ball was last night. Up and out over the plate.
Now Roland looking for a 2-out hit. Not going to happen. First pitch, a bouncer right at Hill, inning over. Reds have left 5 men on base in the first 3 innings. Trail 2-1. the Reds and the Pirates getting together, boy, that could be a big series. And you can get a view level ticket and $10 in concession credits for $20. Are you kidding me? A ticket and $10 for concessions for $20, the Reds and the Pirates? You got to take advantage of that great value. 381 REDS. I tell you, the Reds, they do everything they can to try and find a price point that makes it attractive to this fan base. Attendance up, what, about 9-10% so far this year. And you got to figure, Chris, with a lot of days to go in this season and a lot of big games, virtually day in and day out, every one of them are big games. We'll be seeing huge crowds, and there's another huge sound off the bat of Kubel.
Man.
First night back in the lineup, and he is 2 for 2 with a pair of home runs.
Well, you know, he was out the first couple of games in this series after he pulled a hamstring. But he has made sure tonight that he hits the ball far enough that he doesn't have to strain himself going around the bases. Well, that's just a good short approach to the baseball right there. He may have been looking breaking ball first pitch. Although that pitch is about belt high and medium warm.
Chris, I had started to ask you about Kubel at the end of the first inning. You know, I brought up the name Bryce Harper because that's the one, not to pick on Harper, but that's a guy, you compare his numbers to anybody who was on the National League All-Star team, and I mean, they weren't even in the same galaxy with all the other outfielders that were playing. But you know what? I just went back up and looked at the numbers for Matt Holliday. Now, Holliday's a good player. He's a great hitter and has been a really good player for a long time. And again, it's not picking on him. But Kubel has better numbers than Holliday does. He has more home runs. He has more runs batted in. The doubles are a wash. Here's a high fly ball into right field, playable for Bruce. And that'll be out number 1. Now, Holliday's hitting about 15 points higher. You know, Holliday's hitting about 15 points higher than Kubel. But I mean, let's face it. You know, you look in the outfield, Kubel leads the assist and leads the league in outfield assist out there. It's hard to believe this guy, and really a shame because he's never been on an all-star team. And there are always snubs. And I've never even met the guy.
Well, who do you want to take off? You want to take Bryce Harper off, okay?
I mean, there were a lot of...
While you get your thoughts together, I'll tell you that every year there are snubs, Tom, and you know this. The system is imperfect, and you know, maybe it's caused by fans voting for their own guys, and you can't blame that. I mean, you can't expect fans to go through the stat sheet and pick out the guys that have had the best first half of the season. After all, the players themselves don't even do that. They vote for their friends or a guy that says, who's having a good year at shortstop? You know, and somebody will yell out a name and he'll write that name down.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and this in this series right here might be the best example of any there is, as far as asking managers and coaches to vote on the backup players in an all-star game, as that one has popped up to Phillips. And what I mean by that is the Reds and the Diamondbacks did not play against one another in the first half of the season, nor have the Reds played the Philadelphia Phillies in the first half of this season. So how could it even be expected to be a fair analysis by those that put on the uniform, and it's not picking on them. If you've seen guys, that's one thing. If you've never seen them, that's an entirely different ballgame.
I'll tell you what. Come up with a system, and we'll present it to somebody.
Well, like you said, there is no perfect system, and you know what? I have no issue at all with what the fans do. I mean, none. They're the ones who pay the money to come to the games. They watch the All-Star game. There's a fly ball to center. God bless him. They see whoever they want. It's who's on it after that is the issue. Big night for Kluber. Diamondbacks lead 3-1. Friday at noon. They'll be at Freaky Friday over on Fountain Square, and then at 5:30 join the girls at Free Agent Friday over in the Fan Zone at Great American Ballpark. You can hang out with Hallie, Sarah, and Christine this coming Friday. You rode in the opening day parade with them.
Well, I walked alongside the limo. We had a lot of guests that day. I let them ride, and I decided to walk along. And then eventually Jim Day and I sat up on top of the sunroof. That was quite an experience.
Frazier handing in Latos. Frazier, first pitch hacking on a pop-up outside and pops it up to the right fielder. 1 out. Reds really caught a break in that scoring inning. You may remember it was Frazier who hit a routine ground ball to the glove side of the shortstop Drew with 1 out and nobody on. And Drew lost his footing. And by the time he threw to first, they gave Frazier credit for an infield hit. If that play is made, the Reds do not score against Ian Kennedy. Now Ryan Hannigan. He helped the cause in that inning with a single into left center field. Breaking ball outside, and it's 1-2 on Hannigan. Pulled foul, 1 ball and 2 strikes it remains. Kennedy with nobody on base. This guy gets a ball, and he is ready to go, and he has struck out Hannigan. 2 up, 2 down in the Reds' 4th. 2 strikeouts tonight for Ian Kennedy.
I think all these pitchers have operated the same way. We remarked on the first night when Wade Miley went out there. He reminded me of Tom Browning. As quickly as he wanted to work out there, got the ball, and he's standing on the rubber waiting for the batter to get in the batter's box. Ian Kennedy's the same way. Maybe it's a Charles Nagy offshoot. Nagy was always a guy, sinker ball pitcher that loved to work very quickly.
There's a fly ball off the bat of Latos, and that thing will carry to the base of the wall. And Latos with a 2-out double. His first extra base hit of the season.
Swing of that bat, Matt Latos. He gets a ball right there, and he got it just off the sweet spot. Just a little bit out on the end of the bat, or else that ball is way back into the seats. Hits at the base of the wall. They're playing it fairly shallow and over towards left center field. And maybe thinking, you know what they're going to call me when I get back in the dugout? Warning track power.
Pitchers will take that if they turn into doubles.
Well,
right?
He gets driven in right here, make it a one-run ball game. I'll feel a whole lot better about it.
Been a very good night for Drew Stubbs, a very good series for Drew Stubbs. A double to lead off the game. Was left at third to end the inning, and had a 2-out flare into right to drive in the Reds' only run. I don't think Stubbs thought much of that call by Carapazza. 1 ball and 1 strike. Really pulled a string on him there, had him well out in front of a 2-1 pitch. 2-2 on Stubbs.
It's the same pitch that Drew Stubbs hit into right field right off the end of the bat to drive a run in.
Stubbs now looking for a 2-strike, 2-out knock. Ball 3.
That's a nice changeup that Ian Kennedy throws. The separation and speed is somewhere around 11 or 12 miles an hour. That's a good separation. Tough for a hitter to adjust to if you can hide it well. There it is.
And the inning is over. A double by Latos. The Reds have left 6 on through the front 4 and trail 3-1. Hanneman discusses the future in State College on the Penn State campus. And don't forget, you can chat with Hall of Famer Hal McCoy during our game tonight. It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. And we invite you to get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing on Fox Sports Ohio. Our next telecast will come your way on Friday night. Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers. Radio only tomorrow on the Reds Radio Network. Homer Bailey against Marco Estrada. A right-hander on Friday night. Bronson Arroyo and right-hander Giovanni Gallardo on Saturday night. And then Sunday, Johnny Cueto. Mike Fiers, a right-hander, who's off to a very good start for the Brewers. Well, tonight is in the Jason Kubel story. A 2-run home run in the first inning, a solo blast in the fourth, accounting for all 3 Arizona runs against Matt Latos. In fact, only one other Diamondback has reached base. And that was a single by Aaron Hill in front of Kubel back in the first inning. Strike 1 on Gerardo Parra. Seven, 8, 9 in the Arizona batting order. Ryan Roberts on deck, and then the pitcher Ian Kennedy. Reds have out hit him 7-3. But a pair of long ones from the Arizona left fielder, and a 2-run Diamondbacks lead. Back up the middle and by a diving Cozart into center field. Parra very much a threat to run, and teams have tried to run when they have reached base against Latos so far this year. Parra 11 of 15 in that department.
Well, you combine that with the fact that they've stolen 14 bases off of Latos, and it's a good bet that sometime in this at bat you're going to see him give it a shot. Slide step there, a rare slide step really for Latos. And a quick throw down to first. You wonder if that maybe was a pre-planned play. Very small leg lift right there, just sliding to the plate and a quick snap throw to first. That's a nice play. Works better with a left-handed hitter, but it's a good play.
Roberts just now getting in the box. Talked about solid year that Ryan Roberts had last season playing regularly, and he was penciled in as our everyday guy at third base going into this year. And right now plays rarely. Willie Bloomquist getting most of the time at third base.
Yeah, Bloomquist hitting around 300. Roberts hitting around 240. It's not like Kirk Gibson's playing favorites.
Got to look at Matt Williams down there. I'll tell you one thing. If they had an old-timers game, as that one is lined into center field, a base hit, and here come the Diamondbacks against Latos in the 5th inning. Number 7 hitter, number 8 hitter with base hits, and now the pitcher coming up with none out. To finish that thought, you look at his coaching staff. You have Kirk Gibson, former MVP, Don Baylor, great career, Charles Nagy, outstanding pitcher, Eric Young, really good career, Matt Williams, potential Hall of Famer, Alan Trammell should be in the Hall of Fame. How in the world are you going to beat that staff as far as playing careers go?
They got 5 All-Stars, 16 All-Star games, 8 Gold Gloves, and 12 Silver Slugger awards just in the coaching staff. So you never run the risk of a comeuppant rookie look at a coach and say, well, what do you know? Or what did you ever do? And believe me, that happens. If you've got a coach who never played in the major leagues, you've got a heralded young player who brisks right through the minor leagues, and some guy says something to him and says, well, did you ever play in the big leagues? Even if that coach has been around for 25 years.
Well, they take off the bunt, at least for the first pitch, and they let Kennedy take a hack at it, and perhaps he'll change it up now.
That doesn't mean that you have to have had a great major league career to be a good coach, because there are an awful lot of coaches and managers. Sparky Anderson, Tommy Lasorda,
Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa. You're right.
Late toast throws, and they get the out at third, throw to first, and they can't double him up. Well, it's a very aggressive play, and one you pointed out last night, Chris Wilson, again tonight.
Well, that's really only the play that Latos had right there. The big guy was lumbering towards third base. And if you got that pitcher breaking off the mound immediately towards third, that's still a pretty good bunt. Latos covers a lot of ground right there and makes a dandy play, helps himself big time. The key to that really is that third baseman staying at home, staying at third base, having the confidence that your pitcher's going to get over there and field it, and not be tempted to come off the bag, back him up, have the pitcher look up, and there's nobody covering third.
Stephen Drew 0 for 2 is bounced out to Brandon Phillips. Hit the ball right on the nose, right at Jay Bruce in the third inning. 2 on, 1 out. Stephen Drew, late toast to the plate. And a breaking ball in there to even it up. One run, 7 hits for the Reds, 3 runs, 5 hits for Arizona. Diamondbacks have not left a runner on base in the game.
But they leave 11 on last night.
Yep. Reds meanwhile have stranded 6.
While Stephen Drew awaits, Ryan Hanigan goes out to talk to Matt Latos, and you can tell by the way he was running out there, he's kind of like being a cheerleader right now. He's trying to pump up the big guy, saying, you know what, we really need an out right here. Make a good pitch. Let's not extend this at bat. Let's not go to 2-2 and then 3-2 and then let the runners off. Let's come right after this guy.
1-2 on Drew. Latos a glance back at Roberts. And it's in the air, left center field. Tilting into the mid of Ryan Ludwig for out number 2. And follow Fox Sports Ohio's coverage of the Reds with MLB.com at bat. Text at bat to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. All right, first 2 got on, next 2 have made outs. And 1 more to go. Aaron Hill the batter. Reds already trailing 3-1. We're in the 5th. Ball 1. is a fair ball into the corner off the bat of Hill. Roberts will score on a 2-out double, and that makes it a 4-1 Arizona lead.
Well, Aaron Hill puts a real good swing on a pitch, and Matt Latos gets up. He wanted to get that ball in. He got it in all right, but he got it up, and that's a pitch that's a lot easier to get to than pitches down, and lines it down the corner. The Diamondbacks may have ended up with more than one run right there, but Matt Williams, the third base coach, decided to hold the running Ian Kennedy at third. He's the pitcher. If you had a position player out there at third base, he probably would have tried to push that run across as well.
Well, they're going to go ahead and put Kubel on. He's already hit a pair of home runs in a game tonight. It'll be the first walk issued by Latos. He had only allowed 2 batters, 2 different players, to reach base against him through the front 4 tonight. And now all of a sudden 2 others have joined the party in this scoring 5th, stretching the Arizona lead to 3. And one more big out to go with Miguel Montero, the cleanup hitter, coming up. Baseball, a funny game. Latos battled and battled and battled in that game against St. Louis. Pitch count through 5 innings, well over 100. Worked out of every jam conceivable. And it was truly remarkable that he allowed just the 2 runs in the 5 innings. Yet here tonight, a couple of home runs early, a big 2-out hit here in the 5th, and now trying to avoid any further damage. They're loaded. Ball 1 to Montero.
It just goes to show you that it's a tough league. These teams are pretty well matched. Most every major league team is, and if you just have an off night, just a little bit off as a hitter or a pitcher, but a pitcher especially, I mean, it can come back to really nail you, which makes you realize what Johnny Cueto has done here at Great American Ballpark is just incredible.
Latos now 2-0 on Montero. Well, Montero will be swinging from his heels if it's something in the hitting zone right here and right now. He swings as violently as any player in the league. And it's ball 3.
Looking for something to pull there.
Sam LeCure throwing in the Reds bullpen. Rio hacking, and Tardy on the hack is Montero. Talked about Montero last night. This guy can hit. He is among the 2 or 3 best hitting catchers in the National League. You got Molina in there, especially over the last couple of years. Brian McCann has been the best over the last handful. 3-2.
Buster Posey.
Posey might end up being the best of all of them, although with Brian McCann's hitting career so far, Posey's got some work to do.
Yeah.
Big pitch for Latos. Fell behind 3-0. The bases are loaded with 2 out. Now the count full on Miguel Montero, and here's a payoff. He walked in a run. That might be all for Latos. Dusty Baker pacing around, springing from his seat, standing at the base of the steps. I think he's yelling to Hannigan to go out and talk to him. Yep. A 5-1 game. Dusty perhaps still wrestling with what to do, and it looks like he's going to come get him. Latos was stepping up there on that rubber. He was ready to go to work on Justin Upton. Still no signal given yet by the Red skipper. And now he does. Arizona had the first 2 on. It got to 2 on and 2 out in the inning. But then Latos could not close a deal in the 5th. And this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. LeCure to face Upton. Reds trail 5-1. Understandably so with those numbers right there. 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 runs, a couple of home runs. He'll leave with the bases loaded, trailing 5-1, and here comes Sam LeCure to take over and trying to get the final out in the Arizona 5th.
Well, there's a lot of baseball left. Doesn't look good really the way the Reds are swinging the bat right now against Ian Kennedy, but Matt Latos, 5 innings his last start, almost 5 innings this start, 4 2/3. The difference here, though, is he's giving up 5 runs, and he's going to give way to Sam LeCure. 26th time that Sam has been on the mound. He's been throwing the ball real well lately.
He'll face Justin Upton, trying to avoid a big-time number in this Arizona 5th inning. They've scored twice. Here's strike 1 on a ground ball foul.
A good pitch right there. I'll tell you what, you bring a new pitcher in. Justin Upton's coming up there. He's a good fastball hitter. He's thinking, all right, LeCure's going to throw me a fastball. He throws, after he warms up 8 pitches, a first pitch changeup. Upton's way out in front. What a great pitch selection.
A ball and a strike on Justin Upton, the 8th man to bat in what has been a 2-run 5th. Two and one. Little fellow on the right, he's almost worn that thing down all the way. You can rest assured he'll find some more room. 2-1 pitch. Fly ball right field. Nice job by Sam LeCure once again. But we'll find out if the Reds offense can get a big hit. For tonight, who are the only set of brothers that currently play where both play in the National League. The only set of brothers that currently both play in the National League. We bring it up because the Uptons, you have Justin in the National League here with Arizona. You have his brother BJ in the American League with the Rays. There are 7 sets of brothers currently playing in the major leagues, but only one of the 7 do you have both brothers playing in the National League. Give you a little while to think about that. It's a good question.
It is a good question.
Reds have a number of hits in this game already. I mean, the first 2 games without Joey Votto in the lineup. You talk about hits and runs being hard to come by. 3 runs on Monday night. At 4 runs, but only 5 base hits last night. Tonight they already have more than that number, 7. But again, sometimes it's not only are you getting the big hit, but are you doing the little things to bring in a run? And go back no further than the first 4 batters of this game in the Reds' first inning. Get a leadoff double. Cozart tries to bunt, not for a sacrifice, but bunt for a hit. Pops up. The next base hit by Phillips would have scored Stubbs. It didn't. Swing and a miss. You still had runners on the corners with only 1 out. Then you get a pair of pop-ups to end the inning. A scoreless inning.
Now, we said at the very beginning of the ball game that Ian Kennedy is more of a fly ball pitcher than he is a ground ball pitcher, and it certainly has shown that way. 6 fly outs as opposed to 3 ground outs. He is 4th in the league this year on the least number of ground ball outs compared to fly balls that he gets. Of course, some other fly ball pitchers on that list in the top 15 would be Latos, Bailey, and Arroyo. Not necessarily a bad thing. Johan Santana's number 2 in the league. Matt Cain number 3 in the league. So you can get it done a lot of different ways.
One and 0 the count on Brandon Phillips. He had an infield hit in the first inning of the third baseline. It was knocked down by Ryan Roberts, and then led off the third on a roller to second base. 2-0 on Brandon. In the air, pretty well hit into right field, but not well enough. That'll be out number 2.
That nearly went the other way. Let's take a look at that quick at bat by Brandon Phillips against Ian Kennedy. First pitch breaking ball changeup right there. Then he's going to throw another changeup, miss inside. So what do you think he's going to do? 2-0. Throws a fastball low and away. Brandon goes with it. Good swing by Brandon, but just not quite enough to get it out of here.
Jay Bruce 0 for 2 tonight. Pair of pop-ups, including one of them with a runner at third and 1 out in the first inning. Bruce batting for the 5th time this season in the cleanup spot. Fly ball to center, and that'll end the inning. 2, 3, and 4, quiet in the 5th. brought to you by JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T Rethink Possible. Nighttime nearly upon us. A Hall of Fame summer indeed. There you see the sign, Sean Casey, along with Dan Dreesen, inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame. And you know, Barry Larkin is coming weekend. Immortalized in baseball's Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Drive into right field will back up Bruce. He's got it in front of the wall. Goldschmidt retired against LeCure to begin the Arizona sixth.
Well, I'll tell you, you get a right-handed hitter with a little bit of pop in this ballpark, and you hold your breath every time they hit that ball towards right field. Brandon Phillips sent the right fielder of the Diamondbacks right up against the wall last inning. That was Justin Upton. This time it's Red's turn. Jay Bruce hauling it in. This is a good ballpark for a player to come to the major leagues and learn how to put a good stroke on the baseball, because you're rewarded for hitting the ball the other way. You take the contrast of that is Petco Park in San Diego, where Ryan Ludwig played. And he'll be the first one to tell you that he went out there and he tried to hit that ball to right center field in Petco, and the ball just died. Never even went to the warning track. So then he started changing his swing, tried to pull the ball, tried to get it down the left field line so he could have some power numbers, and all of a sudden he's completely out of whack. So here you hit it well the other way, you will get your just reward.
Gerardo Parra is struck out and singled into center field. It looked like Latos was going to get out of that fifth inning without surrendering a run. Parra and Roberts began that inning with singles, but then Kennedy tried to butt him over. They got the lead runner on a fielder's choice. Drew hit a fly ball to Ludwig in left field, but then a big knock by Aaron Hill. A double down the line, a play to run. They intentionally walked Kubel, then Latos walked in a run, and his night was over. 2 out. Roberts with the bases empty and 2 away, and there's a strike. Roberts 1 of 2, singled and scored in that 2-run fifth. Reds will have Ryan Ludwig, Scott Rowland, Todd Frazier, and they're hoping for a lot more than that. Down by 4, batting in the bottom of the 6th inning. Pirates have already won their game today. Milwaukee beat the Cardinals. The Reds need a win to stay a game in front over the Buccos in the National League Central. Reds have 9 games remaining against Pittsburgh this year. 6 of the 9 will be played here at home. The only 3 they will play on the road is when the Reds begin their final road trip of the season. The final 6 games of the regular season. They play a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Pittsburgh. They play a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in St. Louis. Rolling to the glove side, the pirouette. The throw is in the dirt. Rowland had to go a long way to get it. Once he had to make that spin, you knew it was going to be a tough play.
Well, Roberts runs very well down the line, even from the right side of the batter's box. So the throw's got to be right on the money in order to get him, and Todd Frazier unable to come up with it. It's a base knock.
Clears away for the pitcher as well here in the 6th with 2 outs and a runner on. Oh, and 2 to Ian Kennedy. That infield hit, first base runner, allowed by Sam LeCure, retired the front 3 since coming on to get that final out in the 5th, and the first 2 here in the 6th inning. One and 2 to Kennedy, and he shoots it foul and out of play off to the first base side.
Yeah, we were kind of kidding earlier on about Kennedy's swing, and his batting average came into this ball game at 0.42. But he looks like at the plate he knows what he's doing up there. He's got a nice level swing. Looks like he was trying to shoot that ball to right field. Down to 0.38.
Breaking ball to retire the side. A hit a man left. Reds have some work to do, trailing by 4.
With you, just like we promised earlier in the game, it's our Miller Time moment, brought to you by Miller Lite. 3 years ago to the date, Micah Owings, the former Red and former Diamondback, sliding on the tarp. Man, did we have some rain here today. But luckily, the tarp was taken off in time for the game. Had we not, perhaps we'd have a moment like that, your Miller Time moment for tonight. My question is, Chris Welsh, did you ever do anything like that?
As a matter of fact, I did in the minor leagues. Dave Righetti and I did it one day in Columbus. And we were brought in by the manager, Joe Altobelli. Good man. Who proceeded to fine us $50 each, which on minor league money back in those days was a lot of cash. And said if we were really not good, the rest of the year he'd give it back to us.
Good old Cooper Stadium in Columbus.
So the second last day of the season, he gave the money back to us. And the last day of the year, I was hiding in the hot tub or the whirlpool when the lights went out because of a big storm that came through. And I was spraying whoever came, first person that came in the door. Guess who it was? Joe Altobelli, fully clothed. Wetted him down from head to toe. But I'd already had the $50 back. And he said, who is that? And he said, never mind, I don't want to know.
What a guy he was.
Great guy.
What a one of the great baseball guys in the history of this game.
I think he was manager of the year one year with the San Francisco Giants.
And managing Baltimore.
Yeah, that's right.
Was in their system for many.
Wonderful.
In fact, the stadium in Rochester, New York, is Ryan Ludwig has gone swinging.
So in short, the answer was yes, Jim Day.
Yes, you did. Yeah, that stadium up there where they were for many, many years the Rochester Red Wings. Played in the International League, and for many, many years they were the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. The stadium up there is named in his honor. He is a Rochester native.
I did not know that.
Well, we brought up earlier about Ian Kennedy. The Reds really had him on the ropes a couple of times in the first couple of innings, and he only allowed 1 run. And we wondered, were the Reds missing a golden chance? Because a guy like Kennedy was more than capable of getting his act together, and he's getting it together now. He's only allowed 2 hits over the last 2 1/3, 3 1/3 innings. And one of those was a double to the pitcher, Latos.
The guy's really given a clinic in pitching. I mean, he's his fastball is 88 to 89 miles an hour. By no means is he overpowering, but he's just dotting the I, going up and away. He's got a nice changeup, a little bit of a slurvy curveball that he mixes in from time to time. But really, it's been that pitch, the changeup and the fastball, pretty much all night long. Well, that's got nice downward rotation on it. He hides it well, sells it like a fastball, which is the most important thing.
Well, you're talking about a guy, too, his last couple of outings, he has really been kicked around. In fact, in 4 of his last 6 games, he has been lit up. His most recent start in Chicago, 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs in an 8-1 loss. Start before that, 4 runs against San Diego. A couple of starts before that, 4 1/3 innings again against Chicago. Gave up 5. You can understand giving up 6 in Texas. That one fisted into right center field. A 2-out single by Frazier. First hit since a Latos double back in the 4th. Well, we had a very good trivia question for you here tonight. There are 7 sets of brothers currently playing in the major leagues, but only 1 set are both playing in the National League. Who are they? The Hairston guys. Their grandfather played in the major leagues. Their father played in the major leagues. fact, both of these teams have had a Hairston, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Scott Hairston originally came up as a highly touted prospect with the Diamondbacks. And a few years ago, Jerry Hairston Jr. was playing here with the Reds. He did a good job here.
He did indeed. Came up with some big hits, very versatile, played all over the place. High energy player.
Still is. Xavier Paul just recently brought up from the minor leagues to into the on-deck circle. 2-0 on Ryan Hannigan. 1 on, 2 out. Kennedy going to work. And a jam shot pop-up on a 2-0 pitch will end the inning. We're off to the 7th. Reds trail 5-1. One of the first 20,000 fans through the gates, you get a red soft-sided cooler courtesy of Hebrew National. Reds and the Brewers Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. Tickets are available, as well as tomorrow. 381-REDS, a number to dial. Coming up tonight and after every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, Chris Welsh, Jim Day, Jeff Picoro break it down. Reds Live. Brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Chris already putting together the X's and O's, if you will. We still have a third of this one left to play. The Reds are trailing by a count of 5-1. And now coming on to take over is left-hander Bill Bray.
Yeah, they need a 0 out of this guy. They want to stay in the ball game. They're down by 4. Their offense isn't really doing much except getting a couple of sporadic hits against Ian Kennedy. And Bill Bray really could use a good outing under his belt to give himself some confidence. And that's the way to start it off with the first pitch strike.
Slow roller off the bat of Stephen Drew. 1 out. So now he'll face a right-handed batting Aaron Hill. 2 hits and 3 at-bats. Scored a run back in the first inning and then had that 2-out double down the left field line, driving in a run. Plating the first of 2 2-out runs to chase Latos in the 5th. That's when this game went from a 2-run game to a 4-run spread. 2 outs in the inning. Of course, missing this series after tweaking a hamstring on Friday night. And boy, he's more than made up for his absence here in his first 2 at-bats. 2-run home run in the first, solo blast in the 4th. They intentionally walked him in the 5th inning. Kubel now has 17 home runs and 63 runs batted in. You can see why this Arizona team was really shut down in that Cubs series when he had to come out of the game on Friday. Not playing the final 2 in that series. And a very impressive 7th inning for Bill Bray. So good for him, that shot of confidence you were talking about, Chris Will. And the American League Central leading White Sox head to the Motor City. Top 2 teams in that division colliding. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Budweiser, begins at 3:30 Eastern Time. Only on Fox. That's a big series, boy, in that American League Central division. All right, Reds have 3 more cracks at them. We'll see if they can get something going here. And it begins in the number 9 spot in the batting order and making his Reds debut after just being called up before the game, replacing Todd Redmond, is Xavier Paul. In limited playing time, you see his career numbers as a major leaguer. And swings at the very first pitch he sees in a Reds uniform. He'll fit right in. 1 pitch and 1 out. So now to be Drew Stubbs. He has 2 hits and 3 at-bats in the game tonight. Stubbs a double in the first inning and knocked in the only Reds run in the second inning. Well, Reds fans, if you're looking for a quick and delicious meal the whole family will enjoy, try JTM's Meatball Sub Kits. You can find them in your local grocer's freezer. JTM, let's create great dishes together. off the end of the bat into short right field, and it has taken Ian Kennedy to get 3 pitches to retire the first 2 Reds batters here in the 7th inning.
You know, I watched Ian Kennedy pitch a lot on video last year, and I was wondering how in the heck did this guy go out and win 21 ball games. But now that I see him pitch up front and close, it is obvious to me that the guy is really kind of an artist out there. Moves the ball around. The Reds have not hit all that many balls right on the barrel of the bat. A lot of easy pop-ups. That's what being able to spot your fastball and throw a good changeup down in the zone can do for you.
The 1-1 on Kozite. And a slow bouncer to Drew. He charges, throws on the run, and a 1-2-3 inning. 6 pitches in the 7th for Ian Kennedy. Ranking 3rd in the nation again in U.S. News and World Report's 2012 Best Children's Hospitals, and by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado in your tri-state Chevy dealers. Now it's time for Home Depot doing more on defense. Jay Bruce up against a wall in right field. Reds had 5 of their 8 hits in the first 2 innings of this game. Scored their only run back in the 2nd, and now we're in the 8th.
Now the Reds have, Dusty Baker's had to cover a lot of this ball game with the bullpen, given the fact that the starter Matt Latos went 4 2/3. So Sam LeCure came in and did what he normally does. Pitched an inning and a third of scoreless baseball. A nice easy 1-2-3 inning for Bill Bray. And now Jose Arredondo. 41 games already for this Reds right-hander, and he's been getting better and better. Seems like he's walked fewer batters here in the last few weeks than he did earlier in the season. That split finger fastball is working very nicely, and there it is. Well, he's got a way to throw that split finger. You know, you throw a split finger by just putting the baseball between your index finger and your middle finger. But he wraps his index finger, the inside of it, around a seam, and he turns it over by pulling that index finger down and get kind of a screwball motion on that splitter, and it goes down and away from a left-hander. Awfully tough pitch.
1 out.
One of those players that originally signed as a position player. He was a shortstop in the minor leagues. Ended up not being able to hit up to par, so they decided, hey, he's got such a good arm, let's go ahead and try him on the mound. He's had a nice story and nice major league career so far in the mound as a pitcher.
It was off to a great start there in Anaheim. I mean, he had that one season before he got hurt that was just about as good as any reliever in the American League. Then the elbow surgery, the Reds took a flyer on him. They knew when they signed him he was going to miss time with Tommy John. Came back last year, proved he still had pretty good stuff, proved he had durability, and has gotten stronger as this season has gone on. It's been a really good sign.
It has been. It didn't cost the Reds anything as far as like a bonus and things like that. It's amazing the kind of money that you spend on a player, a free agent player, even an amateur. If you don't come from the United States or from Canada and you're not subject to the major league draft, you're a free agent. You can start racking up some pretty major bonus money just to sign a 16-year-old kid that may never make it out of A-ball. I'm talking about millions of dollars, but then you can get a guy like Arredondo on the disabled list with hopes of being able to come back a little bit stronger after the Tommy John surgery. Really the same thing the Chicago Cubs did when Ryan Dempster was cut loose by the Reds so long ago. He was rehabbing after Tommy John surgery here. Went there, was reliever, then of course a starter. And now one of the most sought after right-handers here as we near the trading deadline.
I mean, as long as Ryan Dempster is still getting his paycheck from the Chicago Cubs, he's not going to say anybody about where he might like to go in a deal. That one into left center field. And here comes Upton into second base, and he slides in with a double. First hit tonight for Justin Upton.
Yeah, it looks like Arredondo wanted to sneak a fastball by him, and he got it up. Boy, he's got a lot of tools, Justin Upton does. Power, run, throws the ball well.
That's a ball right there. 85% of the guys in the big leagues aren't at second base.
And maybe it's because he has so much talent that he's a lightning rod for having a year where subpar. I mean, if you're a grinder, a guy, you know, those dirt players that no one really expects big numbers out of you, and you have a big year one year, and they say, oh, what a great year, and then you have a next year, you kind of go back down a little bit. No one gets all over you. They say, well, he just had one of those great years last year. He's back to his level. With Justin Upton, a lot is expected.
You know, Chris, I wanted to get your reaction to the following to finish that thought about Ryan Dempster very quickly. I would imagine Ryan Dempster, if he's going to be traded, he would very much like to be traded inside the National League. You agree?
Where he's been his whole career.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a number of teams in the National League that would like to have him.
This will be another run for the Diamondbacks. That one shot down the right field line by Goldschmidt. So that'll make it a 6-1 game on back-to-back one-out doubles from Upton and Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, we talked about this guy, Tom, at the beginning of the series. He wasn't in the first ball game, and he was very quiet last night. Took it 0 for 4. But he's put some pretty good swings on the ball here. That's a nice level line drive swing right there, taking that ball the other way. Look at that head following the baseball.
This guy is putting up some pretty good numbers now. And you're not talking about a guy that gets a chance to play every day. I mean, he'll play 5 days a week, but they'll sit him down from time to time. He's on pace to easily get to 40 doubles on the year. Right on pace to hit over 300. to knock in right around 80 runs, hit a little better than 20 home runs. Man, that is pretty good for a guy playing in the big leagues in only his second full year.
Mm-hmm.
Para, 1 of 3 in the game, had a single back in the 2-run fifth. Reds came into the game tonight matching a season best at 12 games over the 500 mark. They've been there 2 of the last 3 days. But need a rally tonight if they're going to push it to a season best 13. And there is another base hit. And a hold the runner at third. So ARI Dondo having a hard time tonight. Struck out the first batter in the inning. He's allowed double, single. Don't forget, every Sunday at Great American Ballpark, it's the Meyer Family Day deal. When one member of the family buys a full price ticket, they will then get an option to buy 3 additional tickets at half price. And don't forget, this Sunday, first 8,000 kids 14 and younger get a kids mini mascot set. Brian Price out for a quick visit with Jose Arredondo and Ryan Hannigan. A little better than 26,000 on hand here tonight for Jay Bruce bobblehead night. I would imagine the weather scared away a much bigger walk-up crowd tonight for those of you that weren't with us or maybe watching out of the greater Cincinnati area. Man, did it rain as hard as it has rained in a long time in this city. Reported hailstorms. What a pickup there by Hannigan. I don't know how that happened. I'm not sure he does either.
I think he just kind of threw his glove out there, and there the ball was. From one of the dugouts, you hear the old line. Look, in your other hand, you have a gold watch. They don't teach that one in catching school.
Where do they teach that one? That'll bring in another run.
Well, that's a rare pass ball right there. A lot of people want to know the difference, pass ball or wild pitch. Wild pitch obviously is on the pitcher. Pass ball is on the catcher. The difference is an earned run or not an earned run. From a scoring standpoint, that makes that an unearned run unless something happens later in the inning, like a base hit that would normally score him anyway.
So 7-1 now, Diamondbacks. They have scored 2 more off Jose Arredondo here in the 8th inning, and Logan Ondrusek now forced to get up and ready. Reds had that run of 10 consecutive quality starts out on the West Coast. leading up to the All-Star break. Very nearly had an 11th. Cueto came within 1 out of extending that streak. But now to begin the second half against the Cardinals and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Latos lasted 5 innings the first game back. League 6+ was very, very good. Homer Bailey was great. 8 innings allowed 2, but in this series you got Arroyo with 3, a good one by Cueto, and only 4 2/3 out of Latos tonight. And Chris, you said it a few days ago. You know, your bullpen can go from being too rested to worn out in less than a handful of days.
Well, they're in a game. They're in a stretch right now of the next 8 ball games, including tonight, before you have a day off. And I imagine that, of course, there's no way to know this. You look into the future, but had the Reds known that Matt Latos would only go 4 2/3 tonight, you'd have to cover 4 1/3 innings with your bullpen. That it would have kept Todd Redmond up here for 1 more day.
Ian Kennedy's going to bat. Why not? Very low pitch count. And pitching very, very well. They're going to let him swing away, you would assume, already leading 7-1. Already an out in the inning anyway.
I bet they gave him the take a strike sign. A lot of teams do that to their pitchers. They don't want to see a guy go up there and make it out on the first pitch. Or in this case, a double play on the first pitch.
0-2. Turned into a very comfortable night down here at the ballpark. Extremely hot before all that rain. Starting to talk about reported hail. My wife got caught in her first ever hailstorm up around Madeira today. Said it was very, very scary, and that can be. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Kennedy.
Especially if you've never seen hail before.
Yeah.
And she hails from Arizona.
They have those haboobs out there in Arizona, and if you've never seen pictures of one of those, that was a huge story a couple of years ago, where they had 2 or 3 of them over the course of 1 summer. It is basically a sandstorm, desert storm, as they appeal to first, and that's strike 3 on Kennedy. It is so dark. If you're driving down the road and there's one coming, you literally cannot see a foot in front of your car. It is pitch black. It is terrifying. And you're lucky if your car will continue to run if it is exposed to being in one of those storms. I mean, it is as scary as it gets.
I'll take your word for it.
And count me out for saying one again. We're going to take a little time out and ponder on haboobs.
Would that be plural?
Sounds good. American Ballpark. Couple of changes. The night is over for Zach Cozart. He'll be replaced as part of a double switch by Wilson Valdez. And now trying to get the final out here in the Diamondbacks' eighth is Logan Ondrusek.
Yeah, Logan's thrown the ball a lot better the last couple of times out. He was bothered with a bad back there for a little while, about a month or so ago, and it seemed like his velocity dropped off. But he came in last night's ball game just dialing it up to 95, 96 like he did earlier in the year, when a lot of people were thinking, man, this guy could be the closer of the future here with the kind of stuff that he's showing. He needs one out now with a couple of runners on to get out of this inning.
Well, so far, Arredondo, 2/3 of an inning, allows 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, a walk. Right now, sitting on an unearned run. Two and 0 to Stephen Drew. 7 runs, 10 hits for Arizona. They've left 4 on base, 1 run, 8 hits, 7 stranded for the Reds. 6 of the 7 came in the first 4 innings. And ever since then, it has been the Ian Kennedy story tonight. 21 game winner from a year ago. Hot smash right at the first baseman, and that'll retire the side. Couple of runs in the Diamondbacks' 8th. They lead 7-1. Ian Kennedy was on the ropes a couple of times in the first 2 innings, but man, oh man, has he been good since then. Over the last 5 frames, he's allowed 3 hits and only 1 hit over the last 3 innings. So he'll get the ball here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. He's thrown 95 pitches in the game. His figures to be his final inning. They'll face Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, Ryan Ludwig. Come for the Reds. Stay for more fun. Make it a weekend getaway and book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. High fly ball into right center field, and Upton is there in front of the wall. Twice tonight, Phillips has done that.
Just about the same spot, too. Both of them sending Upton right to the warning track at the base of the wall to make the catch. Well, Arizona, as a pitching staff, has done very well here at Great American Ballpark. It's funny because they pitch also in a ballpark down there in Arizona. That is not an easy ballpark to pitch in. Ball carries very well there. Of course, the air is dry. It's tough to get good break on your breaking ball. been very impressed with Ian Kennedy tonight. And Miley the first night. Wade Miley was very impressive. A lot of scouts talking today about last night's Arizona starter.
Trevor Bauer. Option back to the minor leagues today before the game.
Saw that. I'll tell you what, though. I think the kid will be back, and I think he'll be pretty good in the long run.
Well, obviously, he has the stature and the reputation of being a guy that a lot of people are going to believe in. I mean, his numbers in college, he was the best player there was in college baseball. Golden Spikes Award winner. He had dominated at the minor league level. You just wonder, Chris, if they brought him up too early. I mean, you know, there are a lot that follow this Arizona Diamondbacks franchise, even some of the scouts that we talked to, and they feel like, you know, you're talking about a guy who was still walking. Yeah, there were a lot of strikeouts and a lot of wins, but I mean, he was still walking 5 guys a game down at the minor leagues, and it was his first full professional season this year. Bruce going on strikes, 2 are out.
Now, there are some clubs that wouldn't even think about advancing their pitchers that quickly through the minor leagues. Thinking, you know what, you bring a kid up here, and if he has a bad experience early on, he may take longer to adjust and get back up here than he would if you just kept him on the slow road to begin with. The Diamondbacks, because they've had some injuries to their pitching staff, are looking for, maybe they think they may catch a little lightning in a bottle. Say, hey, you never know if this kid all of a sudden comes up here and throws strikes. His stuff is very good. There's no doubt about that.
1 wicket on a breaking ball to begin the 8th inning, with 2 outs in the 8th inning on the first pitch in the at-bat. Barely grazed the uniform. You know, you look at Kennedy, this is only the 2nd game this year where he has a chance to go 8 innings. Go all the way back to a June the 17th start in Anaheim. The only game this year he's pitched 8 full innings in a 2-0 loss, ironically enough, against Anaheim. 33 starts last year. He went 8 or more innings 9 times. He allowed 1 run or less a whopping 16 times last year in his 33 starts. This year, only once through 8. And tonight would be 4 times this year. And this is his 19th start where he allowed 1 run or less. And he will go 8. They might think about running him out there for 9. 105 pitches.
Not drive, but drives of the game, Jason Kubel. Left-handed hitter had not 1 but 2 home runs against Matt Latos. 1 on a fastball, 1 on a breaking ball, and he pretty much by himself did the Reds starter in with those 2 bombs into right and right center field. 7-1 ball game. Arizona in charge.
I just got to thinking, walking back to get a glass of water in between innings, Chris, I don't know where all this nonsense started. And, I mean, boy, you talk about getting tired of hearing it. All this stuff that's been talked about, Sean Casey coming back and playing again, right?
You mean it's not true?
I just saw Eric Davis walking down the hallway. Of course, he works for the Reds and is very active working inside the Reds organization. Now, when you walk by that guy, there's a guy you look at and you say, he might be able to come back. My goodness.
You know, I think
he is in marvelous condition.
I think if a lot of guys didn't have to run, they could still hit. Years ago when they used to have, remember the old senior professional league? It only lasted a couple of years. It was played down in Florida. They had one team out in San Bernardino, California. I played that league one year.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
I had George Foster, Jim Rice, and Tito Landrum in the outfield. They could hit, but Tito was the only guy who could run. George was standing in his spot. Jim Rice was standing in his spot. Tito had to cover everything really from line to line. But those guys could still hit. They just did not like to run or play deep. I had Doc Ellis as my pitching coach and Bill Lee as my roommate. Wow. How about that combination?
Wow. That is something.
That probably explains a lot.
You know, I have a fondness for that senior league. I mean a real fondness for that league. It may not have lasted long.
Why is that?
Well, when they went down and they got down to the final couple of candidates, and I never found out who the other ones were. But when they got down to the final couple of candidates for the play-by-play job with WGN for the Cubs in 1989, I went down there and announced games.
Did you?
And wound up getting that job. Trying to remember where we flew into now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe it was there a team in Tampa or Clearwater. I can't remember where I went.
There were the St. Pete Pelicans.
That's where it was, St. Petersburg. And there's a strike.
I think the current Red Sox owner, John Henry, owned a team in that league.
Did he really?
Yeah, over on the east coast of Florida. I think the Palm Beach Tropics, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
You know, a lot of people, like you said, don't remember that league. I mean, it was so fascinating. If you grew up a baseball fan and watching baseball, especially in the 1970s and the 1980s, early 80s, guys were wrapping up their career. Maybe the middle 80s they were finished by when they put that league together. And all of a sudden you got to see some of those guys that played in primarily in the 70s and 80s. Swing and a miss, and there are 2 outs in the inning. Earl Weaver came back to manage in that league, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right about that. Yes, he did.
Andrusic trying to make it a 1-2-3. Ninth inning, and Miguel Montero fouls it out of play. A quiet night for the Diamondbacks cleanup hitter and catcher. 0 for 3. Did draw a bases loaded walk for a run batted in. Final batter that Matt Latos faced tonight in the 5th. So barring a comeback in the bottom of the 9th inning, and anything is possible, the Reds will tee him up tomorrow afternoon. And they'll send out Mike Leake, coming off an outstanding game against the St. Louis Cardinals on Saturday afternoon. But no decision in that one for Leake, who now has his season ERA with a digit that starts with a 3. And that's come down a long way. He'll be opposed by Joe Saunders, an Arizona left-hander having a good year. 1-2 to Montero. Tickets are available. No television tomorrow. Want to listen to the game? We'll have it on the Reds radio network. Yours truly and Jeff Brandley will be over there tomorrow. And then the Hall of Famer Marty Brennaman back on Friday night. He is chomping at the bit to get back and especially see his old buddy Chris Welsh.
I can't wait to see Marty fresh back from his honeymoon. He'll be smiling ear to ear.
No doubt about it. Well, you'd like to think so. I mean, you really like to think so.
That's a good inning by Andrusic. I have no doubt.
Yeah. You'd like to think so. Play of the game. We're going to turn back the clock. I was here this night. Arizona getting blown out. Mark Grace doing his impersonation of teammate Mike Fetters, and then surrendered a long home run. Of course, Mark Grace just an outstanding player for so many years, primarily with the Cubs, and then came to Arizona where he won a World Series ring. In 2001 for the Diamondbacks, hit a big home run against the Yankees in that World Series at Yankee Stadium, and now many years working as a television announcer for the D-backs. Boy, he's a piece of work, isn't he?
Boy, you're not kidding about that. He could hit. You talk about getting a runner in from third base, less than 2 outs.
Automatic.
I mean, Major League average is around 50%. I got to think that Grace was up around 70%. It was automatic.
And, you know, I'll always remember that home run that Grace allowed on the mound. I mean, it was one thing where he was impersonating Mike Fetters and the head snap there. You know who hit that home run? The first home run in the major leagues he ever hit. I'll never forget it. David Ross.
No kidding.
He hit it in the third deck of the ballpark.
There's David Ross still around to talk about it.
Yes, he is.
Still working behind the plate as a backup catcher to Brian McCann in Atlanta.
Still does this rock solid job. On the ground is short. Ziegler taking over on the mound to finish things up for Kennedy. What an outstanding game tonight by Kennedy. The guy won 21 games a year ago, 6-8 this year with an ERA of up over 4.5. But 8 innings tonight allows 1 run.
I think he kind of snuck up on the Reds tonight. I think that they probably looked at this series and thought, well, there's Diamondbacks were swept by the Cubs. They scored 3 runs in 3 games in Chicago. They come down here to Cincinnati. The Reds are rolling right along here at Great American Ballpark, and even without Joey Votto, they're going to have good pitching and probably be able to maybe take 3 out of 4 against this Arizona team. Now they've got to win the game tomorrow to salvage a 2-game split of this 4-game series.
Well, Chris, you were the guy more than anybody that is associated with any part of the Reds broadcasting team. that when that topic comes up about playing teams under 500, I can see you just grinding your teeth because you dislike that talk so much. And you know what? No one is more correct about it than you are.
You know, in some sports, the better team wins every game, or most of every game. Like in football, for instance. It's a game like that. I mean, you can be outmanned in football where the best team in the league plays the worst team in the league, and 9 out of 10 times the best team is going to win. But all it takes is one hot pitcher in baseball and a couple of key hits, and you've got an upset. And Joey Votto kind of alluded it too. That's, you know, the toughest part of the schedule. Me, that West Coast swing, very tough part. He wanted to grind his way through that. And you take a look at the teams that the Reds have coming up. Under 500. Brewers under 500. The Astros under 500. The Rockies under 500. Then, of course, you play the Pittsburgh Pirates. So you can't. That's a little bit a deceptive thing. And, you know, Dusty Baker will say the same thing. Every manager says the same thing because you never want to wake up the other team to think, oh, the Reds are coming into town and they don't really think very much of us. That's bulletin board material. And you really don't want to do that.
On swinging Hannigan, the Reds are down to their final out of the ninth. You know, I've always sort of snickered at the idea, Chris, when you hear it talked about almost exclusively, regardless of sport. When you get down to the final month of a regular season, I mean, it could be the NBA, it could be the NFL. You hear a lot of it in Major League Baseball about playing the quote-unquote spoiler when those teams who are out of it. Hey, there are some teams that are out of it right now. So if they have a chance to chop down a team that's having a really good year or a winning record, what's the difference between doing it now or September? September, it might be a little more under the magnifying glass. But if you're one of those teams having a tough year, I mean, that's a way to lift your spirits when you're 20 games under 500.
And it's a way to get yourself motivated before a ball game, too. Because I played on some bad teams. And at the end of the year, you're really playing for your own salary drive. But in the meantime, you're taking aim at those teams that are number 1 and 2, and you say, hey, you know what? Let's make the Reds remember us.
Well, they're going to remember this one. It was all about Ian Kennedy. Ziegler follows up with a 1-2-3 behind him. The Reds are limited to only 2 hits over the final 6 innings of this game. So they played 3 games now without the great Joey Votto. They scored 3 runs in the first game. They scored 4 runs on 5 hits in the second game. And tonight, 1 run against Kennedy and Ziegler. Kubel a pair of home runs. Kirk Gibson's team wins it. Final count of 7-1. Reds Live coming up. You're watching Fox Sports Ohio.